Hi, ladies. Good evening, good evening, good evening. How's everybody doing today?
Good evening.
Good
Doing
evening.
Grateful to
Good.
be here.
Yes. Good evening to those of you who are joining us tonight, whether it is live or it's replay. This is the Woman to Woman show. We are on the New You Nation Network, and we are just five ladies over 50 or 50 plus. And we are here to share with you through life experiences, through just daily blessings, what it means to us to be Gen X and how we live and continue to move forward with just doing the things that we want to do. So, how we press through to just make things happen 50 plus. So this is really geared towards Gen X, but we welcome all to this platform. And so we are going to start how we normally start today and every day with gratitude. So everyone can go around and, I'll start, right? My name is Theodora, and I am a certified career life coach, HR consultant, and I am grateful for this day. And I am grateful for God's grace that is given to me despite me. Right. And so that is what I'm grateful for today. Netta, you're muted.
Hi, my name is Manetta. I too am grateful for just another day. Grateful that mute button was working. Um, I am a certified coach utilizing the Gallup Strengths. I am the owner of Holistically Motivated, where I help women stop leaving crumbs of life for themselves and pour into their wellness so that they can help and pour into those that they love. I am also a credentialed healthcare professional with over 30 years of experience. So, back to the top, I am grateful to be here.
Nice. Regina.
Hi, my name is Regina Booker. I am the owner of Season and Fabulous, which is women over 50 plus, help them to get unstuck. Um, with women's retreats, just anything dealing with women and their journey after 50, raising kids and careers, and whatever they're going through in life. Life goes on. You're
Mm,
never too young. I'm sorry, never too old to start all over again. Not even start all over, but to keep continuing your journey because you know there's more to life.
mm.
And I am grateful because I just came back from celebrating my mom's 90th birthday party on Saturday.
Wow, that is
Nice.
Celebration.
excellent.
So I am grateful that my mom is still here with me, and I thank God that she's still here with me in her sound mind, still walking, still talking, and she only takes one pill. She
That's
suffers with little arthritis, but just one medication for her thyroid, and I'm grateful.
nice. Nice. And Sheila.
Good evening, all. My name is Sheila Isom. I am an insurance claims professional by day, and at night and on weekends, I am a Color Street nail stylist. I'm an independent consultant for Color Street, and we sell nail polish strips. And I am also a notary public. And I too, just like Theo and Netta have said, I am just grateful for this day. And as we start delving into today's topic, so I'll talk about one of the reasons why I'm taking it day by day.
Mm, nice. Gina.
Hi, I am Regina Howard Norman. Some folks know me as Chef Regina. Um, I'm going to take a line from Sheila. By day, I am a vocational recreational coordinator for a nonprofit working to serve people that need supportive services. And by night and other times, I am the owner of RHN Unlimited, where I work with families and youth to help empower their children, to help them be the best versions of themselves through workshops and supportive training. And also, I love, love, love teaching the joy of cooking and bringing families together through the vehicle of food. So that's a little bit about me.
Nice.
And
So,
what I'm grateful for, I'm
oh
grateful.
yes, yes.
I'm actually grateful today for friends and doctors.
Oh,
And we'll talk
Amen.
more about that as we talk about Thanksgiving and navigating
Nice.
Thanksgiving. Yeah.
All right. So let's get into it. So, good evening again. If you're just joining us, you've joined the Woman to Woman show on the New U Nation Network. And tonight, our topic is navigating the Thanksgiving holiday because I can't believe it, but on Thursday, we will be celebrating Thanksgiving. And so, with that comes, I think, a lot of things, right? Like there's an emotional roller coaster. There are those of us who, um, you know, this holiday may not be, although we're grateful, for some people it's a struggle, right? And so we're going to talk a little bit about how you can navigate through this being the first Thanksgiving without a loved one, right? How do you, if you're a cook, this is not for me, but for all your cooks out here, right? How do you stay calm? How do you not get stressed out, right? As you're preparing to cook and entertain family, right? Like what are the different things that you feel like need to be navigating during Thanksgiving? I'm sure everyone can think of something different, but I think for me, it's not as bad. But I know when my dad first passed, one of the biggest things was figuring out where was I going, because I would usually decide where I was going to spend Thanksgiving based on where my dad was going to be. Like if he was going to my aunt, we were going to be around my aunt. If he was going somewhere, or if he was like, "Oh, I'm going to my friend, I'm gonna be here late." Like so, my first Thanksgiving without my dad, I think I actually decided to stay home, right, and just be in my pajamas and watch Christmas movies, right? And because for me, I didn't really need to go anywhere, right? Because a lot of times I go places because I love my family. I take every opportunity to see them, but I also believe because I love my family and take every opportunity to see them, I don't necessarily feel like I have to see them on Thanksgiving all the time. And everybody may not get that, but I some days I just need to lay on the couch in some pajamas and watch Christmas movies. What about the rest of you guys? Like,
Well, if we're talking from a preparation perspective, um, in regards to if you're hosting or you're in charge of logistics, um, or you are the primary person preparing stuff, I actually did a little series on how to strategize your food planning, your meal prep, and that sort of thing. So at this stage of the game, being that it's Monday, we're more like in the final stages of that. But even that being the case, I'll say to anyone listening, you can still create a plan no matter where you are. It may be an accelerated plan, but do not fear it become unraveled. You still have time to put the best of what you can together for your family, for your loved ones, and just really enjoy the day.
so hands up question.
Yes.
Where can people find the series that you put out there? Like if someone wanted to go today and look and see
Yes.
what you did, where can they find it?
Because I was feeling so lovely and generous, I actually did it on Facebook.
Oh,
On my Facebook page is actually a series of 6 lessons, um, with an intro and 5 tips from soup to nuts on how to strategize everything from your list to your ingredients to your pantry, um, and then how to start cooking. And I think if you go on my name, Regina Howard Norman, Facebook, you would see all the lessons. You would just scroll down from tips 1 through 5. Um, and they're very quick. They're not very long, but they're concise. And I've been hearing a lot of positive feedback. They've been very helpful. So
And your Facebook is Regina Howard
Norman, Facebook
Woman.
on front, yeah. So it just to give an overarching view of what it is. Basically, a lot of us know what to do around the holidays. We've done these things so many times and stuff like that. But still, when it happens, we're still kind of, there's nuances that change. Maybe different people are coming with certain people can't have certain things. Now we're getting a certain age, so certain dishes we used to have, we're not having that anymore. So
Mm,
you're looking at all those type of things. So I always start out with the first important thing, y'all. No matter what you're doing, how many people you're doing it for, always start off with your list. Your list should always include your proteins, your sides, your veggies, your desserts, and your beverages. Once you have
mm,
those primary things on your list, then for each of those things, I break down how you check your pantry. You write the ingredients for each recipe because we always think about the main thing. Oh, we have a turkey. Okay, we have the turkey, but you're going to stuff it, or you're going to use potatoes and carrots, so you're going to use celery. So you want to then break that down, right? And as you do that, you check your pantry, make sure your condiments and your spices are fresh. Or if they're not, you know what you need to replace. Check your freezer and what have you to make sure you have what you need. Or so that's kind of what the series is about, really helping to go through it. And here's the big piece: once we do all of that good stuff, we checked our list and checked it twice, like with Santa or whatever, but we ain't doing Santa, not on this call. Um, Once we check off, list, and we did the shopping and we did the comparative pricing and we got everything and we got all these good stuff, it's like, oh dang, what do I do? How do I start? My biggest tip is to start wherever you're comfortable, because as you start with your comfort zone, you're rolling to doing the things that you need to do, the prepping and that sort of stuff. But if anyone goes on my Facebook page, you will find I did 5 videos on tips on how to prepare for your family gathering, and they're very concise, to the point. They're very helpful, and like I said, I've received a lot of positive feedback. I just feel like sharing the love because it's around this time that you don't need to be stressed out about stuff that you more or less have a handle on, but still you got other things going on besides fixing a meal for people. You got life issues, you got work, you got other relational things happening. So sometimes the food is important, but you got other things going on, so you need a focus, a quick how to, and that's what I was able to provide for this holiday season.
you want to know my list?
Eh, eh, eh.
You want to know how I prepare?
So
I say, what store are you going to pick the dessert up from? Are you going to Costco for the cake? Are you going to this place for the muffins? Are you getting a pie? Like, what? Where are you going to buy this dessert that you taking over to the family dinner?
and that's planning. You see, that's what I'm talking about.
That is it.
Mhm.
Anyone else, like, what does Thanksgiving bring? You know, feelings of anxiety, feeling of joy, a mixture of both.
For me, Thanksgiving is about love because I'm surrounded by the people who mean the most to me.
Mhm.
We could eat a bowl of cereal
Mhm.
Mm,
and I would still be full of joy.
nice.
So I think it's important to keep the main thing the main thing.
Right.
Hmm.
Sometimes we get caught up in the grandeur of everything when it's the simple time spent, quality time, making new memories with those that you love,
Yes.
whether you're eating or not.
Right.
It's a beautiful blessing to still have those people with you. And anxiety can come when we're trying to control an outcome that's not in our control. Just let things flow the way they do. Do your best. You know, if you're tasked with a certain thing, do it to the best of your ability, but don't make it huge. Don't make it bigger than it needs to be. There are so many resources that we have. Regina just told us she's one. There's, as Trey would say, it's Googleable. You can go and find some resources so you don't have to stress yourself out. I think it's important to, again, bring that broad focus in on what is important in the moment. And if the bread is a little overdone, you got something else to eat. You know, it's okay. Release the tension and stress that surrounds the preparation and just be in the moment with those you love.
Yes. Yes. I mean, that's what it's about, right? It's really about
supposed to be.
So that's what it's supposed to be about, right? But we know there's some other stuff that comes with it. And Sheila, you know, you talked about just talking about how you navigate. So I'm gonna hop over to you.
It's funny because I think for a long time I really enjoyed Christmas and looked forward to it. And I think that as over the years, as it became more commercialized, the meaning of Thanksgiving became more important to me. So Thanksgiving is actually my favorite holiday. And I posted a meme that I saw on my Facebook page yesterday with a guy that was holding up a poster, and the poster said, "Stop premature Christmas decorations." And my response to that is, can we let Thanksgiving live?
Yeah.
Right? Because it's like we totally skip over Thanksgiving, right? So now that's another part of our life's journey that we're missing, because to me, Thanksgiving is really about being thankful, handing down traditions, spending time with family and friends, people that really mean so much to you, right? And just sharing that time. Well, you know, food can always be a distraction, but you know, there's before the food, there's in the middle of the food, there's after the food, when people can't get up off the couch anymore, where you have an opportunity to really be thankful and appreciative of the things that you have and the people that are in your life. So, you know, every year, as right before we have dinner, we hold hands and we go around and we talk about what we are thankful for. You know, and that's a very important part of it, because we don't want to lose the meaning and the tradition behind Thanksgiving. So that's where I absolutely love Thanksgiving. And I am one of those last minute people. Yeah, I am up all night on Wednesday. I get up early on Thursday to finish the cooking. And that's my tradition. I just love it. It's like sometimes I did some of my shopping tonight. Well, it's really been a last minute, because normally I have my sisters and we all get together and we do potluck. We plan out our menu. But this year we decided it was going to be low key, every man for himself, because my sisters are going to be traveling the day after. So you can't really have all of that heavy food on your sister. So we're all just going to do our own thing. And I'm like, that's okay with it. You know, my son has to work, unfortunately, on Thanksgiving. So it's like, all right, I will just do some cooking myself. So, but to me, that's part of the joy behind it, you know, doing my shopping at the last minute, because I've gotten my list out, as Gina talked about. And I try to get in there, because that way I can get in and out. And remarkably, I found that sometimes when you're shopping like the Tuesday evening or the Wednesday, some point on Wednesday, it's not as crazy as you would think it is, because a lot of people are actually preparing long before that, particularly the weekend before. So, so I enjoyed that hustle and bustle of doing everything just before Thanksgiving.
And before I hop over to Regina, the one thing I do miss that I used to do in New York, and so this is a plug for anybody that's in Charlotte or the Charlotte area. Is every Thanksgiving I used in New York, I would go somewhere to serve, right? People meals before I would go have dinner with my family. So I actually need to find some place here that I could do that as well. Cause that was a tradition for me, especially when I worked at Covenant House, right? So that made it easier because every Thanksgiving and every Christmas before I went to dinner with my family, I went to serve the youth and the staff Thanksgiving dinner, right?
Mhm.
Or lunch. So just putting that out there. Anybody that is watching this video, if you know of some place in North Carolina where they are serving others that may not have a family to spend Thanksgiving with, please let me know because I would love to go out and serve. And so, Regina, what about you?
My Thanksgiving is going to be a little different, untraditional, but a blessed Thanksgiving. Um, I am going to spend it with my sons. Why I say untraditional is because we're not having a turkey.
You're not you're like the third or fourth person that I heard that said they're not.
We're going to have whatever we want to have. And the blessing is because, as you guys know, I'll just say, my son's father passed.
Mhm.
This May would be 2 years. So he had a business that he started with his valet service, and he wanted it for his son, but he had a business partner. So my sons, fortunately, are continuing to work with the business, and my oldest son knows the business very well, and so it is his dream is to buy the partner out. So they have to work on Thanksgiving because they have a
Oh,
and they do work every Thanksgiving. So the blessing for me is my youngest son. He has a 4 year old, and the school is out. Me
mm,
being retired now, they don't have anyone to keep my grandson. But guess what? I get to keep my grandson. I'm not tied to a job per se. That is a blessing,
yeah.
and we get to cook whatever we want to cook. So I asked them, what do you want? And that's what we're going to do. Like Netta said, if it's a bowl of cereal, it's going to be a bowl of cereal, and I'm going to enjoy my grandkids.
Nice.
So, and it's less stress. I'm not thinking about it. And one thing that my youngest son said, he's, Mom, don't make a big fuss. It's just going to be the four of us. Well, yeah, the two boys and me, the four of us, and we just want to. Well, I'm grateful that you're able to help us, and we're just some food. That's it.
Nice. All right.
So
So, um, for those of you who are just joining us, this is the Woman to Woman show on the New You Nation Network, and we are talking about navigating the Thanksgiving holiday. And we started out with what we're grateful for. We went through what some of our traditions are and what Thanksgiving means to us. And now, I think I want to shift a little bit and talk about, those who are not looking forward to Thanksgiving, right? Those who may not have a family to spend Thanksgiving with, those who are spending their first Thanksgiving without a family member, right? What tips would you give to people who are navigating like their first Thanksgiving after losing a loved one? And it could be fresh and it could be years ago, right? So what are some of the tips or ideas that you would share with someone that is struggling with Thanksgiving and
Um,
that holiday?
so it's funny you said that because I was just speaking with my mom over the weekend, and she was saying how Thanksgiving hasn't been the same since my grandmother passed away.
Mhm.
And she was talking about what she wanted to fix, but then she wasn't like excited about it because we usually all get together, we would all come and go to grandma's house, and we would all bring something even if we cooked at home. So I think just remember your loved ones for the joy that they brought. And I tried to share that with my mom, that grandma was the type of person, like, she was like the nucleus. Everybody came together
Mhm.
to be with her, even if they had their own individual things they celebrated at home. So I
Mhm.
would say, for those who lost their loved ones, and even though my grandmother's been gone for 9 years, it still feels sometimes like it's still fresh, because she was like my first best friend. And as a daughter losing a parent, my mom has a different relationship, in that type of feeling. So I think remembering the beauty and the joy, or remembering the good things about that person, and hopefully you have good memories to share and to think about. Um, don't be by yourself. Reach out to someone, a friend that has shared memories, or maybe you don't want to do a lot of cooking. Don't, maybe go visit with someone, so you don't feel like you're alone and by yourself. um and realize that you may not have that person there, but if you have those memories and things like that, you have them with you in a different way now. So
Mhm.
it's just adjusting. It's still a new normal, and it's, you're not supposed to feel like you have to behave the way other people expect. You have to embrace how you feel and heal in your time. And you don't owe anyone an excuse for how you feel. So
Mhm.
understand that too. You don't have to put on the front for people.
Mhm.
Um, and people that
Mhm.
love you authentically will understand, right? So don't
That's
feel
it.
like you have to do those things. But just surround yourself with people that love and care about you. Um, and don't feel like you have to do it alone.
Mm.
I would
Yeah.
share that from the perspective of respecting a person who has lost someone, asking them what they would like. How can you be there for them instead of assuming one way or the other? I
Mhm.
think it's important to respect where they are
Mhm.
and be what they need you to be versus what you think you should be.
Mm. Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, that's I am, it's still difficult, even though, whether your parents have been gone for a long time, like my mother has over 20 years, or, recently, which was, for my dad, who's only been gone for 2 years, trying to, get through those holidays, because the traditions, as far as we know, started with them, right? Doesn't
Mhm.
matter where their traditions started from. It's what happened in our household. And for us growing up, Thanksgiving was my mother preparing everything, and just about everything from scratch, doing it all by herself. At the time, as we were growing up, she was a stay-at-home mom, but so she had time to prepare and do it over days. So that's what our vivid memories were. And as course, as we got older, then we took over the traditions. And our thing was, mom, you sit back, you just enjoy.
Mhm.
It's our turn. So my mother would make whatever little contribution she wanted to make, because she had to still be a part of it, right? So still holding on to those memories is something that keeps us going, right? Because that we
Mhm.
didn't. Now it's going to be interesting to see if our offspring can carry on the tradition, because, and I'm sure if they haven't, if it's not already out there, there's somebody, some kind of Uber Eats or DoorDash, and that it can
Yeah.
send over Thanksgiving meals. But and also realizing too that you can make variations, right? You make changes to it, because after a while, especially with our busy lifestyles, it's okay to have some parts of it catered, right? You don't have to make everything or make everything from scratch if you don't have the time. There's some good food out there.
Mhm.
So I'm all for it. But the irony is that with, again, kind of getting used to not having your loved ones around because they're no longer with us. Tomorrow I'm going to be attending a funeral.
Mm.
So now I have a very, very a family that's very, very close to me that will now be navigating their very first Thanksgiving without a loved one. So I don't, I don't know how you can really comfort anyone with that. It's the funeral's tomorrow, Thanksgiving is Thursday. Maybe, hopefully, things will be a distraction for them as they prepare. But when it's this fresh, I'm sure that some of them may not even feel like celebrating Thanksgiving, right? So, it's giving people grace to feel the way that they want to grieve the way that they want to. And that grieving could take the form of, let's have a grand old time for Thanksgiving as we know that our loved one would have, right? Or it could be the flip side is, I just want to be by myself. I need to take all of this in because I'm missing my mom, my sister, my cousin, my auntie a little bit too much. So I can't think of celebrating this year. So we have to give people grace to move through it the way that they see fit. But at the same time, letting them know, as Netta would say, how can I be there for you?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think that's the most important thing is respecting boundaries, right? Like allowing people to have, like I remember, right, my first Thanksgiving without my dad, where I wanted to stay home, right? And I needed people to understand that, right? I needed people to understand, like, listen, I'm all right, like, as best as I could be, but I really just needed time to be by myself. And even now, right, like it's 6-7 years later, sometimes I just need to be by myself because I've been working so hard. I just want to be by myself. So I would say, I think one of the most important things I would say to people is is to respect the other person's boundaries, right? And then, like Netta said, to ask, how you can be there for them, but also to remember to be there, right? Like in all the hustle and the bustle and the running around, right? Don't forget that there's someone that you need to call. You just to say hello, or just to say happy Thanksgiving, right? Or just to let them know you're thinking about them, or even if it's a text to say I'm praying for you, right? But just to not forget about that person, because some people think, oh, it's 6 years or 7 years, it's they're good. Sometimes people still are not good because there are certain things that will bring back up memories. So I would say that's another thing, is to be mindful of checking on, like we would say, your strong friends, right? For sure.
Yes, I'd like to go back to the Thanksgiving tradition for a second. As Sheila was talking about the holding hands and sharing what you're grateful for, that's something our family does as well. And what I will tell you is, by the time the last person speaks, we've probably gone through a box of tissues because it's so heartfelt. It's not a surface expression. It's letting every person that's in that circle know truly how much they mean to each of us, and their presence is not taken for granted. And a lot of times we kind of gloss over or don't take the time to express that to the people we love. And I've even had it said to me, well, you know how I feel about you. Do I really? Do I really know? I mean, and maybe I just need to hear it. So
I was going to say, even if you know it, sometimes you just need to hear it.
Yeah. And so that's one of my favorite parts of our family tradition, is just, it's palpable. I mean, the love in that room is so strong. And I love that the younger members of my family get to experience that. And because the world can be really cruel and brutal, and they don't see a lot of positivity sometimes, and just to know that this circle right here, we got you.
Yep.
I think that's really important. And the other thing is, speaking to the point also Sheila made of our offspring carrying forward these cooking traditions that we've established or have been established for us. I love that the younger ones, my children, my brother's children, will get in that kitchen because they want to see what grandma's doing. They want to see how grandma's potato salad turns out like that. They want to see the dressing because we don't do stuffing, we do dressing. They want to see what's going in this dressing and how she's putting it together. And those are the times where bonds are strengthened.
Yeah.
And I just really appreciate that in my family. And my dad so often says there's so many families that can't be in the same room together.
Yeah.
And he often expresses how we can't wait to get in the room together. And so that comes from that patriarch and matriarch, that's passed down. That this is your family. And even though we all have flaws and faults, we love you regardless.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that is the biggest thing, right? Is just recognizing that Thanksgiving is, I think, a time to put emphasis on being grateful, but truly, right? At least I know all of us are grateful every day of the year, right? 365 days a year, right? We're grateful. And I know that today I posted on Instagram, right? Just something to hopefully help people get in the posture of being grateful, right? Starting from today. If you're not, because we're 365 days grateful. Even on my worst day, I'm grateful, right? But for those who don't experience that, right? How do you get into that posture of being thankful, being grateful that, hey, things might not look the way I want them to look, and this person might not be here, but I opened my eyes this morning, right? And so I think that is so important as well. Just that whole gratitude aspect, And so Gina, how do you think your sons are going to? I mean, I know they're working, which will probably be a distraction for them. But how are you guys going to remember their dad on this holiday season?
They remember, they talk about him, especially my oldest one. He talks about him a lot because he came in his life in his latter years, because he wasn't in his life, in their life when they were growing up. I was basically a single mom. We were divorced, and but the boys it was in God's time, at the right time. And my oldest son benefits from this. So now he talks about when he needed to become a man, his father was there. And that was very important. So that is why he's striving so hard to get the business, because my ex-husband tried to give him the business, but he wasn't ready. His father's gone, and as he sees it, and he sticks close by the partner, and he's like the general manager.
Okay.
He's called on all the time. So if the partner goes out of town a lot, goes on vacations, he's there. He leaves him right there to do everything. So he's trying to pull his little brother in it. So I say that to say he thinks about his father every day. So being there, that's something his father does. And so it was always done on Thanksgiving. So that is very important for them to be there on Thanksgiving. So as they do that, and I know the first Thanksgiving without his father, he told me every time he parked a car, he could see his father standing there, and it was very emotional for him. So just to be there on the property, the same, it's a country club they do it for, and they have the contract for. So that's how they memorize him. So it's very important for him, and he won't ever he won't ever give it up. Like that's just something he has to do because that's a big part of being with his father.
So that's how he honors his legacy,
Right.
right? And that probably makes the holiday more bearable. So I think that's a tip
Mhm.
for individuals too, right? And
Mhm.
to make the loss a little more bearable is
Mhm.
to honor that person by doing something that they loved or like my dad loved ice cream, so
Mhm.
on his birthday I eat ice cream, right? On
Mhm.
other holidays, right, I have an excuse to eat ice cream. But yeah, so that's really cool. That's a blessing, right? So
Right.
Absolutely.
we gotta carry on that legacy,
Yeah.
you know.
Mhm.
So I found this little article on ways to cope with grief during the holidays, and they gave some tips. And one was let yourself feel sad.
Mhm.
So
Mm,
I think that's a great tip for a lot of people, because I think so often we feel like we don't want to feel sad or be sad because we're going to ruin somebody else's day or holiday or
Mhm.
whatever. But when you're around people that you love, right, they'll understand if you feel sad. Just don't stay in it,
Mhm.
right.
right? Um, so that's one tip. The other is don't feel guilty for experiencing joy.
Mhm.
What do you guys think about that one?
That's true
That's
because,
important.
and I think that may come from an external pressure,
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
um, having to show up a certain way, whether happy or not.
Mm-hmm.
Feeling like you're under the microscope when you enter a space. Okay, what's she gonna be like? Is she gonna be happy? Is she gonna be sad? Just knowing the eyes could be, on
Yeah.
you, and so that could come into play as well. What other people expect of you in terms of how you show up, but just be true to who you are, regardless.
Right.
And again, it
And
gets back to, people handling situations differently. And there's no wrong or right way to do it. Everyone has to handle it in their own way. I think back to when my ex-husband's mother died, and we had the funerals planned midweek, early evening. My ex-husband was a coach for a men's softball team, and it was during their championship. So the first game that they played coincided with the viewing time. So here we are, we're at the funeral home. He's out coaching his softball team. And
mm,
everyone's like, well, where is he? Where is he? I said, he's at softball.
mm-hmm.
And some people were just incredulous,
Hmm.
like they were insulted by the
Hmm.
fact that he wasn't there. It's like he's coming. He needs to do this first, and that's fine. That's what he needed to do for himself,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
That he didn't love his mother any less. He
Hmm.
wasn't going to not show up for the service. It's just that he needed to take that time for himself to do that. And
Right.
that's fine. Again, it gets back to what Nate was saying. People can't tell you how to grieve. You
Mm-hmm.
can't tell people that this is the way that you're supposed to do it. You have to do what is right for you.
Right.
And it's funny because the next one is exactly what you just said. It says take time if you need it.
Mhm.
Like that was the next tip. Take times if you need it. So right on point. Like it's true. Like people can't tell you how to grieve. People can't tell you how long to grieve. People can't tell you how you should feel. And so good stuff. So the next one was talk to people about how you're feeling.
That's huge
Hmm.
Yeah.
Mm,
because you want to talk to people that care about you authentically and that
Mm,
they're actively listening. Um, so you want to be sure that when you share, that it's people that love you and that know you. So when you're sharing with them, your intimate feelings, your memories, or what you're dealing with at that moment, that they're there with you,
Mm,
that the empathy is genuine, and they're not listening to carry it, right? They're not listening to tell someone, girl, she was in here, and so you don't want that type of person around you.
Right.
So make sure you're sharing it with people that love and care about you, um, and that understand that you need them to be that space for them to really be able to pour out how you feeling at that moment, and that if they can't do anything else, they can be present and they could
mm,
be actively listening for what you need in that moment when you're sharing what you're experiencing.
Can I just bring in a little bit of the strengths conversation right here? Um, Gallup Strengths, of course, is an assessment that you take, and there's a ranking 1 through 34. Of course, your strongest ones would be in the top 10, 15, and then the ones that are not as significant lower down. If a person is a relator, that's someone who has a small, close knit group of friends. They're not big on big groups. They're not, going to be the life of the party. They're going to be an observer. They're going to feel more comfortable playing with the baby or the dog in the room versus talking to everyone. That person will probably need some time alone because
mhm,
that's who they are. Whereas if a person has woo high, which is winning others over, they're the big personality in the room. They may need to be around a group of folks and having a grand old time and laughing loudly and what have you. So knowing who you're dealing with is very important in how you show up to support them in their strength.
yeah,
Mm.
Yeah. Very good.
yeah. Yeah, as Gina was talking, I was thinking like a lot of the stuff she was saying is actually, things to be mindful of, but also things that you can actually do, right, to support the person. Regina, you look like you were about to say something.
Oh no, I was just saying those were good. That was good. I also found maybe service. I like to serve, so
Mhm.
sometimes going out and doing service, it takes your mind off of it, and then you'll see. At least for me,
Mhm.
there's always someone worse off or the situation, so it distracts me. It takes my mind off, and then focus on the other situation. That's for me. Might
Yeah.
help someone else as well.
Yeah.
It's
And
good to know that in your deficit, you can still give.
Mhm.
exactly, because that's for me too. Like for me, it's important for me to,
Mhm.
especially like for like anytime, but Thanksgiving and Christmas, I always
Mhm.
like to go and like serve the, people. I don't even want to say less fortunate, right? But people who might not have the same opportunity as me, right, to go
Right.
and spend time with their family, right? And so number 5 is ask for help if you need it.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, this one is huge for me. I mean, I'm not there anymore, but I had to grow into this, right? Because I used to be the girl that used to be like, oh, I'm good all the time. I'm good, good, I'm good, I'm good, I'm good, right? And so I think that's really important to just be able to say to someone, I'm not good,
Mhm.
right? Like I'm missing this person or I'm missing that, and whatever the feeling is, right? Because we're talking about losing loved ones. We didn't even get to the other side of the conversation, right? Which is, for the single person, right? Why you still single? Why you don't have for the person that don't have children? Like we didn't even get there yet.
Mm.
But I would say, honestly, that one is huge for me. Like if you are someone that struggles with um, asking for help, know that it's okay to not be okay, and to tell someone that you need help, like navigating through this holiday because you're missing something or someone,
Mhm.
right?
There's another thought that I have. The married person who is grieving the relationship they wish they had
Oh,
Mm.
very good.
and
Come
still
on now.
having to go and save face or present a certain way, with a group of people that you'd rather not be with, or you feeling inauthentic because things are not the way you're presenting them to be, so there are those individuals as well. And I would just say the focus is on gratitude. There's
Mhm.
always something that you can find to be grateful for. Perfection is not the goal,
Hmm.
but finding something to be grateful for, even in difficult situations.
Mhm.
But I want you to talk a little bit more about the person who is grieving the relationship that they wish they had, but they in
Hmm.
a relationship, like they're married.
Hmm.
Talk to
Yeah.
me about that.
Well, because there are scenarios where the couple is struggling. They are married but not together,
Mm,
or they want to go to an event and appear to be together, or they're together for the kids, or whatever the case may be. Those are very challenging situations, and so the suggestions that you just went through can
mm,
apply in that scenario as well.
mm. For real, because for the people that are in that situation, and you got the people that are chitter chattering about, hey, they look like this, but did you know this? Or are they watching to see how you're interacting
Yep.
and all of that stuff? So that's good stuff. I didn't even
Yeah.
think about that.
Well, and even take it just a step further, when if that relationship, that marriage, or that long-term relationship dissolves, um, so does some of the friendships,
Mhm.
right?
Mm,
So if you are accustomed as a couple to sharing your Thanksgiving holiday with your partner's friends or family, and now this year, what do you do?
Hmm.
Right? So now, not only are you grieving the loss of that marriage or that relationship, but now you have lost people who may have been your support system.
Hmm.
So that's something that's also difficult to navigate. And so I want to put that out there. How does somebody get through the holiday when that's something that they are experiencing?
Hmm.
that's a good question, because I will tell you, being the person that was married to an individual who was friends with my cousins, right? And best friends with my cousin's husband, I could walk into an event because he'd be there, right? And thankfully, we didn't have a difficult, it was amicable. At least I believe so. But how do you manage that? Because in my case, it was amicable, right? Like I go, I'm like, listen, whatever, right? But for some people, that is so hard, because there's that scenario where you lose the friendship, but there's also that scenario where the person was friends with a member of your family or was thought of as family, and some family members can't let them go. So
Hmm.
they still invite them to the events. Like, how do you navigate that?
You gotta go to Trey's recovery room
Yeah.
and
Yes.
heal. You
Yeah.
gotta heal through all of those wounds and scars. It is possible, and that way
It
you can show up mature and not
is.
feeling like there is this situation that you cannot be in. It is a process. It's
Yeah.
not something I would say, jump into right away, but do some work. That's what this is
Mhm.
all about. This is
Yeah.
why we're all here. We
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
have done and are continuing to do
The
Yes.
work
work.
that allows us to show up as the best that we can be, and then thereby be examples for someone else.
Right.
Yep, and real stuff. Don't think that because that first Thanksgiving you might have to concede,
Hmm.
right? Because sometimes your family is like, "Listen, I don't care. I'm inviting." And it doesn't even have to be an intimate relationship. it could be friends, right? Like friends that I have friends who no longer are friends, but I'm still friends with those people, right? And you got to navigate how, and you have to say, hey, so and so is going to be here, right? And either they choose that to come and be there together, or one might choose not to come, right? So I do think it's that, you know me, healing is a choice, right?
Mhm.
But it's hard. I will always say that to people. It is not easy, but it's worth it
Mhm.
on the other side of it, right?
Absolutely.
When you get to that other side of it. But I think really and truly, that's a big one, because there is going to be somebody on Thanksgiving that's going to be like, I don't want to go to so and so's house because so and so invited so and so, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, our message
Having
to you,
healthy boundaries, you know.
Mhm.
and so if you're in that situation, like Netta said, find some help, right? Whether that help is um, the recovery room, whether that help is a strength coach, a life coach, just someone to talk to. But definitely you want to learn how to navigate, because, you know, what you don't want to do is put yourself in a situation where you never have a place to go to Thanksgiving again, right? Because you haven't gotten over what you've gotten over. And so we need to wind down, but I do want to talk
Yes.
about one last thing. For those of you who are just joining us, this is the Woman to Woman show on the New You Nation Network. And I think the last tip I want to talk about or expound upon is health, right? Like, you know, before we came on, right? We were talking to Gina, and Gina, I hope you're okay with me sharing um, your recent doctor visit, right?
So yeah,
With your blood
so
pressure.
yeah, so what happened to me, and I'm actually experiencing it now, is that I didn't realize that I had done so much. I was in charge of an event, and I was doing a lot and prepping and all of this. And this is another thing: don't overdo it, y'all.
Mm.
It's one day. We have 364 other days to be with the people we care about. We could do dinners and other stuff like that. Try not to overwork yourself if you're that person, if you're that point person. So, and I'm saying this from what I just experienced, right? So I had did an event, work related, but if y'all know me, y'all know I get in the kitchen. And so we had like a lot of stuff. I'm just gonna say we had a lot of stuff. And I didn't realize that my body was talking to me. It was saying,
Mm.
Regina, slow down, pace yourself. But I was like, well, I got to push through, right? Because I wasn't doing it for me. I'm serving people. And it was a lot of people. And so, 10 dishes became 12, and 12 became 14, and 14 became 18, and then
Mm,
22. No exaggeration. And what wound up happening is when I came home Friday night, I was spent. Like spent. Like so spent that I went to the doctor today because something just wasn't, I didn't bounce back like I usually do. And I found out that I have my blood pressure is slightly elevated than it was before. And I've never ever had an issue with high blood pressure.
mm,
So, we're talking about we're women of a certain age, right? And so, like I just said, my whole entire life, I've had healthy everything. Every time I go to the doctor, everything's good. Strong heart, everything's good. No issues with, too much weight that I can't work it out to work it off and all that. So I'm in there now and I'm taking EKGs and I have to sit there and let the I'm like, what the fudge pickles? So this is my poopy moment. So I was like, what? And I'm saying to myself, Regina, that's not okay. I am over 50. Well, over 51. I'm over 54. This is not this phase of life that I want to be in where now
mm.
I'm potentially a doctor saying, well, you don't need medication because you're not at that. I'm like, look, sis, I'm not taking any medication. You're going to tell me what I need to do to work on myself. And one of those things is pulling back and not doing too much. I was so busy trying to make it happen and be the point person and do all of this and want everyone else to enjoy the experience of coming together and family gathering where I work that I overextended, right? Everybody was so happy. Oh, it was great, this
Mm-hmm.
and that. I came home wiped out.
Mm,
I had to regroup so I can have enough energy to put a small thing together for my family.
mm,
Mm-hmm.
And so I even looked at, well, I'm not doing three desserts this year. I'm doing two, one maybe, right? So I had to reprogram everything that I was going to do because I overextended myself. So y'all, we only got one vessel. We have to be present. That while we want to have a great experience and have people come together, like like Monetta said earlier, it's not about the food. If you don't have that person present that they can enjoy your company, enjoy your presence. So as much as we do with the traditions that we have, if you're not there to celebrate it and be in that moment with the people that you love, that's not good. So do yourself a favor. I'm telling you from just experiencing it. Pace yourself. Listen to your body. If your body is telling you to slow down, then that other dish you may not be cooking it, and that's okay because
mm,
you'll be there to enjoy being with your family versus passed out somewhere because you just overextended yourself.
Mhm.
If you need to go to the doctor, take care of yourself. If you need to fall back and relax, say, listen, I was going to do such and such, but I can't. This is just what happened. And I had to have a conversation with my daughter in regards to my granddaughter because I'm like, my body's telling me I got to pull back. So you
Mm-hmm.
have to listen to yourself because the bigger picture is this, guess what? You have 364 more days out of the year. Don't let those go by and not enjoy those because you're trying so hard for this one day that you hurt yourself. And if you hurt yourself, the people around you are going to be hurt too because they want you present. So take care of your health. Take care of your health. Your health is your wealth. If you don't have that, nothing else flows from there. So please, the holidays are great. We come together, we share love. Oftentimes it's around food, but you got to take care of you first, especially if you're the point person that does a lot of that moving around. So try not to overdo it. Telling you from experience.
So I'm gonna take that as your final thought.
That is.
And my final thought is gonna piggyback off of it, and I'm gonna go back to my Weight Watcher leader days when I was a Weight Watcher leader day, right? And I'm gonna add on to not only just not overdoing it, but also remember for those of you who are trying to live a healthy life, right? Which it's important to be careful about what you're putting in your body and how much you're putting in your body. Like I used to tell my members, it's one day. Like Regina said, it's one day, so enjoy that day. Have the food that you want to have. Um, Eat something that you've never eaten before and you've been waiting to have, but don't overdo it, right? And try to do something before dinner. Take a nice walk, right? If you work out like I do, get a workout in. But remember the purpose of the holiday is to spend it with your family and your friends, having a good time. So don't just make it about the food.
Right.
Make it about the gathering, the conversation, the playing board games, playing whatever traditions you have. Make it about spending time with friends and family, and don't make it about I'm going to eat as much food as I possibly can eat, because the food will always be there, right? And it's just one day. And remember to be kind to yourself, right? If you are someone that is struggling with, losing someone, or, with your weight or whatever it is you might be going through, remember to give yourself grace.
So my final words would have to do with health, of course. I'm going to encourage us to drink more water, Gina. Get that water intake in because it
I
does.
do all the time.
Excellent.
Mhm.
Excellent. Everybody get that water in. And of course, the suggested amount is half of your body weight or in ounces or 100 ounces, whichever one is more. Get that in every day. Try to get as many steps in. I know Theo talked about walking before dinner. Walking after dinner is great to help with that digestion and moving that food and not letting it sit there in a lump. So you want to move your body and
Yeah.
rest. Regina talked about that. Rest is required for restoration. And so those are my words of encouragement. And be grateful for every moment you get to see.
Mhm.
Yes. Yes. Gina, Sheila.
Yeah. Well, mine will be again, be thankful, take the opportunity to really cherish the memories. Do something that feels good to you, do something that feels good for you, and know that it will be okay.
Mm.
Grieve if you have to, when you have to, the way that you have to. That's okay as well. Like Dale said, give yourself grace. Give yourself the grace to grieve. Give yourself the grace to be thankful. It will
Mm.
all come together.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Regina.
Okay. So bring it on in. Um, Again, give yourself grace. Always give yourself grace. And remember, food is only to fuel your body. Let's not overeat. I'm learning that. I mean, let's just eat. And the exercising, that's important. And create new traditions. Add on to
Mhm.
your traditions. Do something new um, to add on to what you already do. Um, if you have to grieve like everyone else said, grieve in your own way. No one can tell you how to grieve. It's in your own time. Find that person that you can relate to if you need to and enjoy. And it doesn't have to be a traditional uh, with all the trimmings, all the everything. Let it be what you want it to be. Enjoy, breathe, just breathe, and just enjoy your day with your family and friends.
Nice. So ladies, here we are at the end of another Women's Wellness Show on the New You Nation Network. For those of you who were here to join us, we thank you. For those of you who will watch this on the replay, we thank you. And we hope something that we said helps you navigate whatever it is that you need to navigate during this Thanksgiving holiday. And if you're not navigating anything, like you're fine, remember to check on somebody else.
Yeah.
Right. And so we will be back here on Monday at 8 p.m. We are here every Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we would love for you to join us next Monday when we will be talking about restocking your pantry. What to do when you're in a slump. So come back next week. We look forward to seeing you. And I am going to speak on behalf of everyone because I'm sure they want to wish you, as I do, a very joyous and blessed Thanksgiving and a reminder to be grateful in all things, right? In all things. So have a wonderful Thanksgiving and we'll see you here next Monday. Good night.
Good night. Happy Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving.
Good night. Happy Thanksgiving.
Night.
Bye.